Let me tell you something, ladies. You don't ever really know how much a man values you until you walk away. See, sometimes a man gets comfortable. He thinks you'll always be there, no matter how he acts, no matter what he does. But the moment you decide, I'm done, I'm not settling for less than what I deserve, that's when everything changes. That's when he realizes your worth. Understand this, walking away ain't about punishment. It's about self-respect. When you value yourself enough to step back, a real man will step up. And if he doesn't, that just means God's got something better lined up for you, because your value doesn't decrease based on how somebody else treats you. It shines when you know your worth. A man values you when you set boundaries, because boundaries are the clear lines that show what you will and will not accept. Most people confuse boundaries with being difficult, but the truth is, boundaries are a reflection of self-respect. When you have no boundaries, you're basically saying, it's okay for you to treat me however you want. And when someone knows they can do anything without consequences, they don't value what they have. Think about it. If everything is always available, easy, and accessible without any effort, it loses value. It becomes ordinary. But the moment you make it clear that your time, your energy, and your love are precious and not to be wasted, you immediately set yourself apart. You show that you're not just another option. You're someone who knows their worth. And a man, when faced with a woman who has boundaries, has to decide either he steps up and treats her right or he loses her. Boundaries also teach a man responsibility. If every time he crosses the line, you allow it, he learns that your no doesn't really mean no. He starts believing that your limits can be bent, that you'll eventually give in, and that's when he starts taking advantage. But when you stand firm on your boundaries, you're sending a clear message. I respect myself enough not to tolerate disrespect. And respect is the foundation of love. A man can like your beauty, your personality, your humor, but what makes him truly love you and hold on to you is the respect he has for you. Without respect, love fades into convenience. When you establish boundaries, you also separate yourself from desperation. Desperation says, I'll do whatever it takes to keep him. But confidence says, I won't compromise my values for anyone. That difference is powerful. A man will always value the person who shows that they're willing to walk away if they're not treated right. Because deep down, he knows he has to earn that kind of love. He knows he can't just be lazy with your heart. And men are wired to chase, to pursue, to work for what they want. When you put boundaries in place, you trigger that part of him that knows he has to step his game up. Boundaries also protect you from losing yourself in the relationship. Too often, people bend so much to make someone else happy that they end up abandoning their own needs. They say yes when they mean no. They tolerate behavior that makes them uncomfortable just to avoid conflict. But what happens is, the more you give in, the more you lose your sense of identity. And when you lose yourself, you also lose the respect of the other person. Because respect comes from being whole, from standing strong in who you are. When a man sees that you can be loving, kind, supportive, but also firm about what you won't tolerate, he values you more deeply. Another reason boundaries are so important is because they create clarity. Without boundaries, relationships get messy, confusing, and toxic. A man may not even realize he's crossing the line if you never establish where the line is. And then resentment builds, arguments start, and love gets poisoned. But when you set boundaries from the beginning, everything is clear. He knows what's acceptable and he knows what's not. And that clarity actually brings peace because there's no guessing game. He respects you more because he knows exactly what it takes to keep you. And he knows you won't settle for less. Boundaries also raise your value in his eyes because they mirror how you value yourself. When you treat yourself like someone worth protecting, worth respecting, worth loving in the right way, he sees you through that same lens. People learn how to treat you by watching how you treat yourself. If you allow yourself to be disrespected, neglected, or undervalued, they will follow that pattern. But if you show that you require respect, care, and effort, they rise to meet that standard. A man who truly cares for you will not only respect your boundaries, but also appreciate them, because he'll see that they make the relationship stronger and healthier. Boundaries also weed out the wrong people. The ones who only want convenience, control, or easy access will walk away when they realize they can't manipulate or misuse you. And that's a blessing because it clears space for the one who is truly meant to be there. The man who values you will embrace your boundaries because he knows they come from a place of self-love and growth. Boundaries don't push away the right person. They push away the wrong ones. And that's how a man comes to value you more, because he knows you won't just accept anyone or anything. He knows that being in your life is a privilege, not a right. And when a man realizes that you have the courage to enforce your boundaries, he understands that you're not dependent on him for your happiness. He sees that you are whole on your own, and that being with him is your choice, not your need. That shifts the power dynamic. He knows that if he doesn't treat you right, you'll choose yourself over him. And nothing makes a man value a woman more than knowing she loves herself enough not to settle. That's when respect grows, and from respect comes deeper love, because boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are doors that only the right love can walk through. Comfort makes him take you for granted, because when someone becomes too sure of your presence, they start believing you'll never leave. In the beginning of a relationship, there's excitement, effort, and intention. He shows up with his best self, calls, texts, surprises, attention. But as time goes on and he starts feeling secure, that comfort can turn into laziness. He starts thinking, she'll always be here no matter what I do. And that's when the shift happens. The very things he once did to win you over begin to fade. The effort slows down, the appreciation slips, and he stops noticing the little things that matter. Not because he doesn't care at all, but because comfort has created the illusion that your presence is guaranteed, and guaranteed presence often breeds neglect. When a man gets too comfortable, he stops seeing you with fresh eyes. He forgets that you still need to be cherished, still need to be admired, still need to be pursued. He might assume that just because you've committed, just because you've been patient, you'll continue to stay no matter how little he gives in return. That's when he starts prioritizing other things over you, work, friends, hobbies, even his own convenience. It's not always intentional disrespect, but the result feels the same. You feel unseen, undervalued, and taken for granted. And the irony is the very comfort he feels with you ends up threatening the relationship, because love cannot survive without effort. Comfort also blinds him to the importance of gratitude. In the early days, he's thankful for your time, your presence, your love. He feels lucky. But as comfort grows, gratitude fades, and what once felt like a blessing now feels like an expectation. Instead of saying, thank you for always being here, he silently assumes, you're supposed to be here. That shift changes the energy of the relationship. It makes you feel like your love is no longer special, but ordinary. And nothing kills connection faster than feeling ordinary in the eyes of the person you love. When he gets too comfortable, he might also stop striving to improve himself for the relationship. In the beginning, he wants to impress you, be his best self, and show you what he's capable of. But with comfort, the drive slows down. He stops asking, how can I make this better? And starts coasting, believing the relationship will sustain itself without effort. But relationships don't work that way. Love requires maintenance, growth, and intentional action. Without those, comfort turns into stagnation, and stagnation turns into distance. Comfort also changes the way he communicates. Early on, he listens carefully, he pays attention to every word, he remembers the details that matter to you. But later, when comfort sets in, he may listen less, dismiss small things, or assume he already knows what you're going to say. That lack of attentiveness makes you feel unheard and unimportant. And the truth is, no matter how long you've been together, being heard and understood is one of the deepest forms of love. When that disappears, so does the closeness. Another dangerous part of comfort is that it shifts balance. When he thinks your love is endless and unconditional, he begins to put in less while expecting the same from you. You keep giving, but he keeps reducing. You keep showing up, but he stops matching your effort. And slowly the scales tip. The relationship that once felt equal begins to feel one-sided. You start carrying the weight while he relaxes into the comfort of knowing you'll never walk away. That imbalance is exhausting, and it drains the love that once felt so alive. Comfort even impacts the way he sees your value. Because he's so used to your presence, he forgets how rare it is. He forgets that not everyone would love him the way you do, support him the way you do, or stand by him the way you have. He gets blinded by routine, and routine hides the treasure that's right in front of him. That's why sometimes it takes distance for him to realize what he had. Only when comfort is disrupted does he wake up to the truth that your love was never ordinary. It was a gift. Comfort makes him careless with time. He starts assuming there will always be another tomorrow to fix things, another chance to do better, another moment to show love. But the problem is, time doesn't wait. Every day of neglect builds up. Every unspoken appreciation turns into resentment. Every ignored effort pushes you a little further away. And by the time he realizes the damage comfort caused, it may be too late to undo. Comfort makes him believe love is guaranteed when in reality love is earned every single day. He forgets that what made the relationship beautiful in the first place was effort, consistency, and the awareness that you could leave if you weren't treated right. But when he forgets that truth, when comfort blinds him to your value, he begins to lose the very thing he thought he'd always have. Walking away shows your self-respect because it communicates louder than words that you know your value. People can say, I deserve better all day long, but if their actions don't align with their words, nobody takes it seriously. A man might hear you complain about how he treats you. He might even listen when you explain how his actions hurt you. But if you continue to stay while nothing changes, he learns that your words don't carry weight. But when you walk away, when you physically remove yourself from a situation that doesn't honor you, that's when the message becomes crystal clear. It's not anger. It's not drama. It's a statement. I respect myself enough to leave what no longer respects me. That action alone commands more respect than any argument, any plea, or any negotiation ever could. Walking away also proves that you are not desperate for love or validation. Many people stay in relationships because they're afraid of being alone, afraid of starting over, or afraid of losing what they've invested. But when you walk away, you show that you value peace and dignity over forced connection. You demonstrate that you'd rather stand alone than be mistreated while standing next to someone else. That choice tells a man that you are strong enough to choose yourself. And strength is always respected. He may not admit it right away, but deep down he understands that it takes courage to leave comfort behind for the sake of self-worth. Walking away creates a shift in power as well. While you are present and constantly available, he feels in control. He believes he can get the bare minimum and still keep you around. But once you leave, the control slips out of his hands. Suddenly, he's the one wondering, questioning, realizing what he lost. The same person he once took for granted is now out of reach, and absence forces him to recognize your value. That respect doesn't come because of what you said while you were there. It comes because of the decision you made when you walked away. Walking away also draws a line between patience and tolerance. Patience is giving someone grace while they're trying, but tolerance is allowing repeated behavior that hurts you with no effort to change. A man might not notice when you cross from patience into tolerance because the relationship still looks the same on the outside. But when you walk away, he finally understands that your patience had limits. He realizes you weren't tolerating him forever. You were simply giving him time to grow. And when he wasted that time, you chose yourself instead. That action demands respect because it shows you know the difference between waiting for someone to rise and wasting your time on someone who refuses to. Walking away is also an act of faith. It shows that you trust yourself and trust that better things are possible, even if you can't see them right now. When you stay in a place where you are undervalued, it communicates that you don't believe better exists. But when you leave, you're declaring to yourself and the world that you believe in your worth enough to expect more. That kind of belief is magnetic because self-respect is attractive. A man may not chase words, but he will chase strength. And the strongest thing a woman can ever do is walk away from something that doesn't honor her. Walking away is also the reset button in many relationships. Sometimes, as long as you are there, he has no reason to change. Why would he? His actions, or lack of actions, still keep you around. But the moment you leave, he is forced to confront himself. He has to sit with the reality of his behavior, the emptiness of your absence, and the possibility that you might never come back. That shock often does more to wake a man up than years of conversations ever could. Even if he never admits it, he begins to respect you more because he realizes you had the strength to do what he thought you would never do. Walking away also heals your own self-image. Staying in a place where you are undervalued chips away at your confidence little by little. You start questioning yourself. Am I not good enough? Do I expect too much? Maybe I should lower my standards. But when you walk away, you prove to yourself that you are enough, and that your standards are valid. That act of self-respect restores your confidence, and confidence shines. People treat you according to how you see yourself, and when you walk away from disrespect, you see yourself as someone worthy of more. That belief commands respect without you having to say a single word. And walking away teaches him a lesson no conversation ever could. As long as you're there, he doesn't feel the urgency to change. He might hear your pain, but he doesn't feel the consequences. Your absence becomes the consequence. Your silence becomes the answer. Your strength becomes the teacher. He begins to respect you not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. And once a man sees that you can walk away for your self-respect, he knows he cannot treat you carelessly again because he understands that your love is a choice, not a weakness. Distance makes him realize your worth because when you are always present, always available, and always giving, he starts to believe your presence is permanent. Human nature often fails to fully appreciate what feels guaranteed. As long as you are there, he can overlook the value you bring because he is accustomed to it. But the moment distance enters, whether by choice or circumstance, something shifts. He starts to notice the silence where your voice used to be, the absence of your care, and the emptiness in the spaces you once filled. What once felt ordinary suddenly feels rare, and what he once took for granted now feels like a privilege. Distance has a way of magnifying what he ignored when it was close, because absence forces reflection. When you create distance, it disrupts the comfort he had grown used to. Comfort can blur appreciation, but distance clears the fog. He begins to remember the little things he overlooked, the way you supported him, the encouragement you gave, the stability you brought, even the ladder that once brightened his days. Without those things, life feels different. That difference teaches him that what you brought to his life was not ordinary, but extraordinary. In the silence of distance, the memory of your presence grows louder. Distance also shifts his focus inward. When you're always there, he can deflect blame, avoid responsibility, or simply coast through the relationship. But once you step away, he has no one else to project onto. He is left alone with his own thoughts, his own actions, and the realization of how his behavior contributed to your absence. That reflection makes him see clearly the role you played in his life. It forces him to consider whether he gave enough, whether he valued you enough, and whether he respected you the way he should have. Distance breaks routine, and routine often dulls appreciation. When you are a consistent part of someone's daily life, you blend into the rhythm. It's not that you're less important, but the familiarity makes your impact feel less visible. Once distance interrupts that rhythm, the void becomes undeniable. He begins to notice how much lighter or heavier life feels without you. The meals aren't the same, the conversations feel empty, and the comfort of your presence is missing. That void highlights your worth in a way that presence never could. Distance also creates space for longing. Longing is a powerful reminder of love because it is born from absence. When he can no longer reach for you, no longer call on you at any moment, no longer rely on you the way he once did, he feels the weight of losing access to your presence. That longing turns into realization. He starts to understand that your value was not in the convenience of having you nearby, but in the unique way you enriched his life. Longing is the emotional evidence of worth, and distance awakens it. When you step away, it also rebalances the dynamic. As long as you remain available despite feeling unappreciated, the imbalance grows. You give, he receives, and the cycle continues. But distance interrupts that pattern. It forces him to feel what it's like when the giving stops. He learns the weight of absence, and that weight teaches him the value of what he once had. That rebalancing often creates clarity because only through absence does he recognize the depth of your contribution. Distance also creates contrast. In your absence, he interacts with others, but those interactions reveal what is missing. Maybe others don't listen the way you did, don't support him with the same care, or don't challenge him the way you pushed him to grow. Every comparison becomes a reminder of your uniqueness. Contrast sharpens perspective, and through it, he sees more clearly that your worth was not replaceable. Another powerful element of distance is that it demands effort. When you are near, effort is easy. A call, a visit, or a conversation requires little thought. But when you step back, effort becomes a choice. If he values you, he has to prove it by bridging the gap. Distance separates passive interest from true investment because only genuine respect and love will motivate someone to overcome that separation. That process deepens his respect. because it shows him how much he is willing to fight for what he once assumed he could always have. Distance has a way of stripping away illusions. While you are present, he may convince himself that he could easily find someone else like you, that your love is common, that your qualities are replaceable. But once you are gone, those illusions fade. The reality of how rare you are becomes undeniable. He sees the effort, the patience, the love, and the stability that he once enjoyed as everyday privileges now revealed as rare blessings. Distance removes the distractions and leaves only truth, and that truth makes him value you more deeply. In the space that distance creates, he comes face to face with appreciation. Absence doesn't erase love, it sharpens it. It doesn't erase memories, it amplifies them. And when you step back, he begins to respect the courage it took for you to create that space. Because distance is never easy, but it communicates self-worth in a way presence never could. He sees that you were willing to let go rather than stay somewhere you weren't valued. And that decision alone becomes a mirror that reflects your strength and worth back to him. If he doesn't step up, God has better. Because sometimes holding on to the wrong person blocks the right blessing from entering your life. You can pour yourself into a relationship, give your love, your patience, and your loyalty, but if a man refuses to grow, refuses to respect you, refuses to value what he has, then no amount of effort from your side can change his heart. Love is not meant to be one-sided. A healthy relationship requires effort from both people. And when you are the only one carrying the weight, it leaves you drained and empty. That's when faith becomes the anchor. Trusting that God has something better for you is what gives you the courage to stop settling for less than what you deserve. Many people stay stuck because they are afraid of starting over. But what they don't realize is that staying with the wrong person is far more costly than walking away. Every day you spend with someone who doesn't step up is a day you are delaying the blessing God intended for you. When a man truly values you, he will show it with action, not just words. He will invest his time, his energy, and his love into making the relationship grow. If he is unwilling to rise to that level, then his absence is a door for God to send someone who will. Sometimes rejection or neglect is not punishment, it's redirection. When a man refuses to step up, it's not always about you, it's about him. Maybe he's not ready. Maybe he doesn't want the responsibility. Maybe he doesn't see your worth. Or maybe he simply isn't meant to walk this journey with you. And that's where faith comes in. You have to believe that God doesn't withhold good from those who are patient and faithful. If this man won't honor you, God will prepare one who will. You are not meant to beg for love, to chase respect, or to prove your worth to someone who is blind to it. The right man will recognize your value immediately and will do everything he can to keep you, not everything he can to test you. There is also peace in trusting God's plan, because not every closed door is a loss. Sometimes it's protection. If you saw everything God sees, the heartbreak ahead, the wasted years, the emotional damage, you'd thank him for not letting that relationship continue. When a man doesn't step up, it can feel painful in the moment, but that pain is often the very thing that pushes you towards something better. It's in those moments of letting go that your faith is tested, and faith always leads to growth. God will never allow you to miss what was truly meant for you. The wrong man can delay your joy, but he cannot destroy what God has planned. The moment you release what doesn't serve you, you make room for what does. That's why it's so important not to hold on out of fear. Fear says, what if I never find better? But faith says, God has already prepared better. Fear keeps you tied to people who refuse to rise, but faith gives you the strength to rise above them. If he doesn't step up, it reveals that he is not aligned with your destiny. A man who is meant for you will grow with you, support you, and walk alongside you, not drag you backward. And if he cannot match the love, respect, and effort you bring, God will not allow you to waste your whole life waiting for him to change. Sometimes God uses disappointment to teach you discernment. He uses heartbreak to show you the difference between what you wanted and what you needed. And when you finally release what isn't working, you discover that what he has prepared is always greater than what you were holding on to. It's also important to remember that you are God's creation, designed with purpose and value. If a man cannot see that, it doesn't mean your value has diminished. It means his vision is limited. Your worth does not decrease because someone fails to recognize it. The wrong man might dismiss it, but the right man, the one God sends, will honor it without hesitation. He won't need convincing. He won't need constant reminders because he will already know the treasure he has found. So if he doesn't step up, it's not a reason to lose hope. It's a reason to lean into faith. Every ending is a beginning in disguise, and every goodbye makes space for the right hello. God's plan is never to leave you empty, but to fill you with more than you imagine. When a man cannot rise to meet the standard of love and respect you deserve, trust that God is clearing the path for the one who will. Your value never depends on his treatment, because your worth is not defined by the way another person sees you, but by the way God created you. Too often, people allow the opinions and actions of others to shape how they feel about themselves. When a man treats you with neglect, disrespect, or indifference, it can start to make you question if you are enough. But that's the trick of insecurity. It convinces you to measure yourself through someone else's eyes instead of remembering the truth of who you are. A man's failure to honor you is not a reflection of your value. It is a reflection of his inability to recognize it. You are not less because someone cannot see your greatness. You are not diminished because someone refuses to handle you with care. God created you with purpose, intention, and value before you ever met him. That means your worth existed long before his presence in your life, and it will remain long after his absence. Too often, people tie their sense of self to the way someone treats them in a relationship. If he is loving, they feel loved. If he is distant, they feel unwanted. If he is cruel, they feel unworthy. But the truth is, your identity is not up for negotiation. Your value cannot be raised or lowered by someone's behavior. When you understand this, you stop allowing mistreatment to rewrite your story. You begin to stand in the truth that you are enough, even if he fails to acknowledge it. It's easy to forget this when you give your heart to someone. You invest your time, your energy, and your emotions, and when that investment isn't honored, it hurts. But hurt doesn't equal worthlessness. A man can break your heart without breaking your value. His rejection, his disrespect, or his neglect does not define you. It simply reveals where he is in his own journey, not who you are in yours. People who cannot love correctly often project their own emptiness onto you. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake their lack for your own inadequacy. That is why you must separate your worth from their treatment. You are valuable because of who you are, not because of how someone handles you. Think about a diamond, whether it's in a jeweler's display case or buried in the dirt. Its value doesn't change. It is precious no matter where it is placed. The same is true of you. Just because someone doesn't see your shine doesn't mean it's not there. Just because someone mishandles you doesn't mean you're not worthy of being cherished. A man's blindness doesn't make you invisible. It just means he cannot see what others will. The danger comes when you start to believe his treatment is the measure of your value. That's when you begin to settle for less, accept disrespect, and stay in situations that strip away your joy. But when you know your value, you stop negotiating with people who can't afford it. You stop begging for love, attention, or respect because you realize those things should flow naturally from someone who truly recognizes your worth. You learn that walking away from mistreatment is not arrogance, it's self-respect. And self-respect is proof that you know your value. God never created you to be dependent on a man's approval to feel whole. He created you with everything you need already inside of you. And the right people, the ones who are capable of honoring your value, will rise to meet you. The wrong ones will fall away. Your value is constant. It doesn't rise when he praises you, and it doesn't fall when he ignores you. It is steady, secure, and rooted in something greater than human opinion. You don't need his treatment to tell you who you are, because you already know who you are. And once you live from that truth, you'll never again allow someone's inability to love you properly to make you question if you are enough.